It begins in silence. The room is still. A single student stares at a blank page. The clock ticks louder with every second, each beat echoing the quiet war happening inside their mind. They want to study, they need to study, but something deeper resists, like a heavy fog that smothers focus and turns curiosity into exhaustion. The question is simple: why does the brain, built to learn, reject learning itself? What if there was a way to unlock the brain's natural hunger for knowledge, a hidden switch that could turn boredom into fascination? Tonight, we explore that secret. Scientists have long known that the human brain isn't lazy, it's protective. Every time we try to study, our brain measures one thing: reward versus effort. If the task feels too hard, too repetitive, or meaningless, dopamine, the chemical of motivation, drops. The result? Distraction, fatigue, a slow fading of interest. But what if we could hack that process? What if, instead of fighting boredom, we could trick the brain into craving focus the same way it craves social media or games? Let's imagine a world where every study session feels like a story. The page before you no longer looks like a battlefield of words. It feels like a mystery waiting to be solved. To achieve this, the change doesn't start in the books. It starts in the brain. The key lies in how we attach meaning to information. The mind doesn't store facts, it stores connections. When we relate a physics formula to a falling apple, or a math problem to money, or a history date to a story, it suddenly becomes alive. Boredom dies the moment the brain cares. Here's the science. When your brain detects relevance, dopamine spikes. This chemical acts like a tiny spark, lighting up your reward center. Every small success, understanding one concept, connecting one dot, creates a feedback loop of motivation. This isn't a random miracle, it's evolution. Our ancestors didn't memorize, they survived by noticing patterns. The brain evolved to reward learning that had purpose. That same system is still inside you today. The problem? Our modern study methods rarely activate it. Memorization feels meaningless, so dopamine shuts off. But when you study like a scientist, asking why, how, and what if, your brain reawakens. Let's walk through this transformation step by step. Imagine you sit down to study biology. Instead of reading passively, you start by asking, how does this knowledge affect the world? Each time your curiosity engages the hippocampus, the brain's learning center, begins to strengthen neural pathways. Slowly, your brain shifts from resistance to reward. In a few sessions, focus no longer feels forced. It becomes instinctive. You've turned boredom into momentum. In history, great thinkers knew this secret instinctively. Leonardo da Vinci didn't study art, anatomy, and mechanics separately. He merged them, finding wonder in every detail. Einstein didn't memorize equations. He visualized them as thought experiments, turning complex math into living imagination. They all shared one pattern: curiosity before effort. When the why came first, the how followed effortlessly. Now imagine if this principle became universal. A student struggling with chemistry uses storytelling to explain reactions as if they were characters in motion. Molecules meeting, bonding, breaking apart. Suddenly, memorization fades, replaced by understanding. A programmer learning code imagines it as language between human and machine. Syntax becomes conversation. A musician studying theory pictures each note as emotion translated into sound waves. In every case, the process becomes human again. The boredom evaporates. What happens inside your brain when you reach that state of deep focus, the so-called flow? Time dissolves. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for self-doubt and distraction, quiets down. Neural energy channels into the task at hand. This is the peak of cognitive engagement, a biological trance where learning feels effortless and joyful. You've likely felt it before, when you lose yourself in drawing, writing, gaming, or solving a problem. That's flow, and it's the ultimate brain hack for learning. Yet reaching it requires more than desire. It needs structure. The environment matters. The brain reads every visual cue, the lighting, color, sound, even posture, as signals of urgency or comfort. A chaotic room whispers distraction. A calm, minimal space speaks focus. When paired with a specific goal and timed intervals, like the 25-minute Pomodoro technique, your brain starts expecting reward cycles. It's not just willpower, it's conditioning. So what would happen if schools, homes, and study systems adopted this knowledge? Imagine classrooms that teach through curiosity instead of repetition. Instead of grading memory, they reward discovery. Instead of punishing mistakes, They analyze them like scientists. Education would transform from obligation to adventure. But the responsibility doesn't rest only on teachers or systems. It rests on the learner too. Every moment you choose to ask, why instead of what, you reshape your brain's chemistry. You're literally building circuits of motivation that make every next session easier than the last. Your future self will thank you. Because boredom is not a flaw, it's a message. It's the brain's way of saying, this knowledge isn't connected to your purpose yet. Once you build that bridge, once you make learning personal, boredom disappears. What remains is focus, drive, flow. So tonight, as you sit before your notes or your screen, ask yourself not, how do I force myself to study, but how can I make this matter to me? Because that single shift, from memorizing to meaning, is the true brain hack to study anything without getting bored. And as for the next question, what if one day we could program curiosity itself, switching it on like light? What would that do to human intelligence? That is a story for another time.